seems like we were just here, like yesterday. I guess actually it was last Thursday, but it seems like we were just here.
Yeah, doing a Thursday and then coming right behind it and doing a Tuesday show. It seems like it was just yesterday. I
Oh,
mean,
folks are going to get the wrong impression that we want to do this all the time or something, which I guess we kind of do.
you would almost think that we feed on innuendo and all that crap. That that's our thing.
Yeah, but I want to be a little more decisive tonight in our rumors and innuendo, and I hope I spelled that right in the title there. I was in a hurry. We've got some rumors and innuendo about a bridge tonight, and I'm sure you and anybody else watching can probably guess what bridge might that be.
Well, it's not a road to nowhere, as some people say. It's
Right.
not a Jimmy Davis bridge crossing over into from Bossier to Caddo. With what do they have down there? Bats or no?
No,
Uh,
barn swallow. Well, I guess they're not barn. Anyway, I think it's swallows or some kind of birds down there. That actually eat a lot of mosquitoes, much like the bats.
yeah, not a bad thing, but hey,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah, so I guess everybody can see. It looks like we got about 30 folks watching. Hello there, Jimmy Richardson. Hello, Mike and Judy Dillingham. Glad to have you all back again. As you can see, our topics are a little limited tonight. We get to talk about Tommy again and the bridge again and again and again.
Hey, I will tell you, and I'm going to throw a little comment out there, and they know who they are. But hey, some of our good folks down there in Baton Rouge that are fighting for, you know, COVID relief and against mask mandates and all that stuff, you guys are doing a good job down there. I'm hearing good things. You know who you are.
And so there are still people fighting the mask mandate situation down there?
Well, the kind of the after the fact, you got folks that are fighting to get new legislation, new laws, and get things put in the books to try to
Oh, yeah.
prevent, a repeat or all. Good grief, we had what I saw some video, of what they're doing in China. I saw, these Chinese government official. They got a new COVID lockdown over there, right?
Oh, really?
And they literally got this man like surrounded in a field, and they've got like, I guess it's like the kind of fish you'd catch, a big bass,
Yeah.
fishing net.
Mhm.
Well, they've literally done scooped the man's dog up, and he's holding on to the leash on his dog. They've got his dog in a fish net, trying to drag his dog away from him, and the fight ensues. Well, they're apparently getting everybody's pets, their dogs or cats, and they're going and killing them all.
Wait a
I
minute.
mean,
Were you saying everybody was kung fu fighting?
it, I
I
don't.
couldn't
I
resist
now
that.
look. I know they're trying to pass some legislation about Asians and Orientals, and I'm not saying that. I don't know. Is Kung Fu Chinese or is that Japanese?
No, Japanese is karate and, the whole ninja thing. It's the Chinese are typically the kung fu.
Okay, well then it was Kung Fu then, because they were putting it down out there in that field, and that poor dog was not having any of it in that dip net, but he didn't get out of the dip net.
Wow. All right. Well, okay, folks. So we appreciate all y'all that are joining in. Make sure this is going to be interesting. I did share this out in the Benton Town Happenings group, but anybody that lives up around Cypress, tag your friends. We've got some more. We're going to rehash some of the Linton Bridge, but in the show event listing or whatever, I teased out that we're going to name who's responsible, and well, we've got some emails to back that up along with our rumors and innuendo. So anyway, y'all make sure, and I'm about to run the countdown here. Y'all grab you a stiff drink, sweet tea, or whatever you may want. Make some popcorn, text some friends, tag some friends. We will be discussing the Linton Road Bridge and the problems there, as well as some other things. We will be back here in just a few minutes.
Just they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
In all honesty, we try to lay low a little bit because of the fear that we would not be able to camp there.
And I titled it A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys.
Hello everybody. I don't think I've ever done a video before on here, but yeah, I wanted to tell y'all what frustrates me a little bit about permits.
Cockroach of the week is, drumroll please, Allie Feaster Smith.
we can't be apathetic about what's going on in our state. We have to all pull up our bootstraps and get on top of this. So you're right. There's a problem out there. I mean, and man, you can see it everywhere.
Well, look, we have allowed government to become our wherewithal to everything.
Well, I've not heard my name in stable or Baton Rouge in stable in the same sentence in a long time.
You're about to be killed by a Zamboni, or you're gonna die in 5 minutes.
This Bossier Watch live broadcast is brought to you by Eagle Truck Center, soaring to new heights. The Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 23 years in the mortgage business. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And the many supporters, donations, and folks sharing information and watching out for Bossier. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go.
Smarter Geek, for services as a result of us throwing people under the bus repetitively, and that's not the case.
Yeah, well, we could just donate money back and forth to our own companies, I guess. It's, all comes out in the end. By the way...
Wait a minute. I could donate money to you, and then you could donate money to me, and then we could make, people, what they say about us as being true, that, we're in it for ourselves.
Yeah, we're rolling, show me the money. We're rolling in the dough.
Rolling in the dough, yeah.
And speaking of that, I have an interesting tidbit, but also, a lot of people probably think that this is free, and, we talked about it before, so I'm not going to harp on it, but it's certainly not. The software that we're using to do all these cool graphics and screenshots and all that is certainly not free, much less going multi-platform and all that. So anyway, it's fun no matter what. Did you know that we have, or did you remember that we do have a call-in or voicemail and text message number, not the one that we bring guests in if they have a bad internet connection? Did you know that we have a voicemail? And I was looking, and somebody actually left us a voicemail about a month ago, so I need to go dig that up from the archives.
Well, did it have that software program where it beeped out all the expletives?
Well, yeah, but they didn't try to hide their voice, so it's like the actual voice. They did call in anonymously, though, probably like *67 or whatever that is to block the number. So that was actually pretty smart of them. It was actually female, too.
Probably trying to sell us a security system or something, and that might not be a bad investment there. I don't know, but anyway.
Anyway, moving on.
Boy, did you see the text? How many of y'all did see what happened to the president today?
Well, I didn't see it. Well, let me say this, and I don't have any of this video queued up. Did you see the video where he was at whatever meeting or function it was at the White House, at that party deal or whatever, and he's wandering around the room trying to get people's attention, and everybody was literally ignoring him, including Obama, even when he reached and touched Obama's shoulder? Did you see that?
Oh, I did. That was last week, actually, and yeah, I mean, nobody wanted to talk to him. They all wanted to talk to Obama, the
I
real
know.
president.
And look, whether you're a Biden fan or not, and I'm certainly not, but I mean, it was really sad. I mean, that's the president of the United States. They're literally ignoring him. Like, he's wandering around the room, bumping into people, and nobody's paying him any attention.
Well, no, I'm talking about today. There was a video. He was literally, I don't know, giving a rambling at some event. I think it was in Iowa or Illinois or something like that. And literally, this bird comes flying along and drops a load right on his shoulder. It literally hits his shoulder and dribbles down the front of his jacket.
Wow. Yeah, I saw that meme that you sent me a few minutes ago. We should cue that up, but we might do that for later.
Yeah, we don't have time. So last week, we were prompted just with, I don't know, the innuendo and all that stuff, and it made us we did a double take. And we're like, we need to kind of go back in time. Let's kind of go back and look a little bit. And I went back and I was kind of looking at some things, taking a walk down memory lane, and it took me back to Bossier City. I mean, Rex, do you remember? You remember back about almost a year ago, when Tommy Chandler was in favor of term limits? Do you remember that?
Wait, Tommy Chandler was in favor of term limits.
Yeah, he even campaigned on a charter commission, and remember us? We've talked about that on the show, that was, something he did. Apparently he was in favor of that as well too. But I'm wondering, why has he? I mean, he's had all this time now, almost a year. Why has he not proposed term limits like he said he would in the campaign? And wait a minute.
Well, I could actually kind of help him out a little bit. So go ahead, and then okay. I'm gonna come in and actually defend Tommy.
Okay. Well, I'm just wondering. I mean, and all of y'all watching, if I know that politicians lie. I mean, but the media lies more.
They misspeak.
Especially social media people like, your two co-hosts here that you're watching. We are the epitome of lies, innuendo, and disinformation and all that crap. I mean, even though we share things to prove what we're saying, but I mean, this was just a year ago. Really?
Well, let's cue that up, and I'm going to come rallying to Tommy's defense. So let me hit publish here.
You defend him, and I'm going to attack. How's that sound?
Yeah, so this post was from February 27th of 2021. Now, refresh my memory, that's pre-election time, right? The election was what, March of 2021, I think it was, March or April, I forget.
Oh, yeah, he threw a lot of things out there trying to get everybody's vote. I mean, he even put a picture of him and Trump. Now, I was involved in all the Trump campaigns, and I don't remember ever seeing Tommy Chandler campaigning for Trump, but he used Trump's image, to help get elected. But that's neither here nor there. But term limits ahead, right there.
But I want you to read that again. It's 3 simple words: term limits ahead. Now, by my calculation, he's still got about 3 years left in office.
So what you're saying is he didn't say that he was going to do it real fast. He was going to wait and do it kind of later on or at the end of his term, so that it may not would apply to.
Rumor has it that Tommy Chandler is actually going to do what he campaigned on, and he's going to advocate for term limits within the next few months ahead.
Well, that's news to me, but I'm wondering, maybe he's waiting so that he can get 4 terms for himself rather than 3 terms, because this wouldn't apply to him. Oh, wait a minute. He's only going to be a 1-term mayor anyway, right?
That's right. We got Jeremy Gallman. He's going to be the future mayor anyway. It's a predetermined deal.
Oh, that's right.
Our South Bossier friend, Jeremy Gallman, it's a predetermined deal. Who, by the way, if you go check his timeline, he's not happy with the whole South Bossier, North Bossier Civil War going on either. He's tired of just getting Dollar Trees down there, while North Bossier gets nicer, retail stores and outlets. So, that Civil War is still going on. There is a North and South thing.
Well, there's something in this post I want to come back to, but Cindy Ulrich says, everyone is in favor of term limits until they get elected and realize it would actually go against them.
It's kind of similar to that famous Mike Tyson quote, everybody's, ready to fight until they get punched in the mouth. Or everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But in this post from Tommy Chandler, he says, let's avoid corruption and make sure that we are holding our city's elected officials accountable.
Let me put a little pointing finger over here. Yeah.
Has he ever reached out to you about coming on Bossier Watch?
No, never.
He's not me. I mean, and accountability, that's what we're about. We talk about and try to shine the light on things, and we've sent countless requests, and I mean, we've put a lot out there. I mean, where's Tommy?
Yeah, and look, by the way, like we said over and over and over on the show, open invitation to any politician that wants to come on the show. You know how to get a hold of us. We're easy to find. We'll make the process as easy as possible. So, but look, he does point out, so let me move the cute little pointy finger graphic down. He does point out that Bossier City doesn't currently have term limits for city officials. As your next mayor, Tommy Chandler will support, so again, he's using, what is that? Is that future or future progressive? I forget my English and grammar days. He will support a 3-term limit for all city elected officials. So he just hasn't done it yet. He's going to do it, though, Duke. Have a little faith.
He's waiting for the opportune time to do it, right?
Yeah, he's Tahoe Tommy. Have faith.
He's waiting for the opportunity. The same thing as
he's waiting for the ideal photo op.
For all the pieces to fall in place.
That's right.
So everybody?
But look, reading on, did you know, according to Tahoe Tommy, a lack of fresh blood in leadership breeds corruption. We need to bring fresh ideas to continue to develop our city and grow it year after year. You seen any of those? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be defending Tommy. So I'm sure he's going to bring plenty of fresh ideas to the city council.
Well, I think there's some ideas down there, but I don't know about if it's fresh ideas to the council because I haven't heard him quite bring any of the fresh ideas. So, Tommy, prove us wrong and bring term limits the very next council meeting. There's nothing stopping you. You made a campaign promise. I will bet you can find a councilman that would bring that next meeting. And you know what? Let me throw Tommy a bone here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Tommy's not the only one that campaigned on that.
You are correct. We can't swipe Tommy without swiping at least one other one that we know about.
Well, not just one other one, but you know what? There's more than one down there that campaigned on term limits. And I think if we took a walk down history lane, we would find that probably almost every one of those councilmen down there at one point or another have said they're in favor of term limits.
Yeah.
But nobody down there has, I don't know what it is.
Paging Chris Smith.
I'm going to be nice. Where is their political courage to bring it term limits?
They should be bringing it every meeting.
Every meeting.
Yeah.
Look here. Free political advice. King David, bring it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right.
King David. Look, rumor is that you're not running again. What do you have to lose? Bring it. Show everybody. Bring it.
Yeah. Well, while they're doing the term limits, they need to slow down the Dollar Trees and chicken joints in South Bossier, according to Brandy Jones-Faulty and future mayor Jeremy Gallman. Okay.
Well, look, they got a ban on chickens in Bossier City. Don't forget now.
Yes, and your lovely wife Kara says, it's kind of long, so I'm not going to, well, I guess I could switch it around. Hold on, let me do this. Let's go here. Let's get rid of, actually we'll pop it up right there. Anyway, it's kind of long, but we'll look at it. It says, we need to make politicians sign statements on what they're going to do should they get elected, and then make them sign a statement that if they change their stance or they change their mind on those core things, they agree to resign. I agree with you 100%, Kara, but getting them to resign would probably be about the same as trying to get them to actually do what they campaign on.
Now, do you know, Rex, I mean, this is kind of squirrel here, but in the legislature, there was someone proposed a bill to where judicial candidates, you would do away with them listing party affiliation. You couldn't list party affiliation if you were a judicial candidate.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm in favor of that. I've kind of mentioned that or alluded to that before. Yeah. I mean,
Okay,
what does
so
it matter if justice, and we asked
okay, let's play devil's
our
advocate.
we asked our judicial candidates when we
Wait a minute.
interviewed them.
Okay, let's play devil's advocate here. Okay,
Okay.
let's pretend I'm not a Rhodes Scholar of Stupidville, but let's pretend I'm a lawyer and I'm going to run for judge. And you don't know it, but I'm a leftist. I'm in support of abortion. I'm anti-gun. I mean, your Glock emblem up there just makes me want to vomit. Okay, now go ahead and ask me a question.
Oh, okay.
As if I was a judicial candidate.
Well, okay, so you're running for a local district.
Yeah, district judge. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'll ask you.
I think I'm the best candidate.
Yeah, so my generic response, or my generic question for everybody, although it may not come up at the district level quite often, what is your stance on Second Amendment rights, specifically like in our state, concealed carry versus constitutional? Because that actually could be an issue for a district judge.
Well, in the event that I would have to rule on a case like that, it would probably be premature for me to, give you a position on that. So I would have to say that I can't answer that.
Okay. Do you own any guns?
You know what? That probably would put me in a bind as well too. I don't know that I should say that.
Okay, and I don't know that I should vote for you. We're done. See how easy that is.
Okay, well, but if I had a D behind my name, you would know I was anti-gun and you'd know I was anti-abortion.
Well, hold on just a second. Now, I've said many times before that I vote pretty much straight Republican. As a matter of fact, I never voted for a Democrat. I never have. Only because if you put the D by...
Did you almost slip there?
No, I had to think for a second to make sure that I never ever have.
Are you telling me that you didn't vote for Bill Clinton the first time?
No.
Okay.
Slick
You
Willie.
you didn't think Bill was cool riding around on
But
the
look,
bicycle?
let me give you
Bill Clinton was
He
cool.
played the sax. He was a cool dude.
Yeah,
he probably would be cool to hang out and drink a beer with or whatever. But here's the thing. Let me give you the counter argument to that. Everybody puts Ronald Reagan up on a really high pedestal as being pro Second Amendment and blah, blah, blah. And there's the story about where he saved the girl that was, when he was at the motel or whatever and she was down on the sidewalk and he had his pistol or whatever. But there's also, and that's his story that, granted, I pretty much believe, but the counter to that is he did send a letter to Congress in support of the Brady Bill, of all things.
Holy shamoly! See,
yes, sir. I'll dig it up. But before the dementia set in, too, by the way. Okay, so my point is those lines are blurred. It's like we've said all the time. Get a Republican to actually define being a conservative, and that'll tell you. If they just give you the party, deal.
But hang on a minute. On the Brady thing, I mean, Brady literally got shot trying to protect him. So I mean, was it a?
Look, I say so, and that sounds kind of harsh.
Was it a sympathy thing or not?
I don't think so because it was 10 years later.
Well, still, I mean, it ain't like 10 years. Brady didn't die 10 years later.
I'll find that letter. It shocks most people.
I'm not challenging you.
No, I know, but I actually want to find it now. Not right this second. We'll move on with the show, but anyway. Yeah. So my point is, now I'm being a little facetious here. Is that justice is supposed to be blind? So what does it matter whether you have an R or a D behind your name or not? You should follow the law. And for instance, in the state of Louisiana, since we do have a restriction that restricts our ability to carry, again, the reason that we have concealed carry is because there is a law that restricts us from carrying concealed. The reason we can open carry is not because there's a law that says we can, it's because there's no law that says we can't. Therefore, we can. So if the judges all followed the letter of the law, in theory, having an R or a D would not matter. But of course, we all know in reality that's not the case.
That is not the case because the fallacy of it is I think the judiciary is broke. All of you lawyers out there watching, you can be mad, throw rocks at me, but I think it's broke. I mean, because I personally, and I think I speak for a lot of people, I don't feel like I can have a fair day in court. I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel like I can. I
Yeah.
I don't think it exists, and I think a lot of other people feel the exact same way.
Let me read you part of this letter now that I found it. So not only did Reagan sign it, so did Gerald Ford and Jimmy Carter of all things. All right, this was May the 3rd, 1994. This is a letter sent to House members urging them to support the assault weapons. Actually, it wasn't the Brady bill. It was this, well, I think it was part of the Brady bill. Anyways, the assault weapons ban during the Clinton era. The letter read in part, while we recognize that assault weapon legislation will not stop all assault weapon crimes, statistics prove that we can dry up the supply of these guns, making them less accessible to criminals. We urge you to listen to the American public and to the law enforcement community and support a ban on further manufacture of these weapons. Signed by Ronald Reagan.
Wow. Well,
So,
I mean, look.
all right. And of course,
Well,
that's
can I-
not our. We didn't list we were going to talk about gun control, but there it is.
Nah, we had no idea. I mean, this is a live show. We're just going off the rails here.
Yeah. All right.
You know
Anyway.
what? You know what? David Crockett made a post, and it prompted me to something historical. And I got to tell you, David. So if Romney is our nominee again, I would look across parties.
Yeah.
I get that. I kind of feel the same way. And somebody would throw a rock. A lot of folks probably are going to wonder about this, but dadgummit, I'm forgetting his name. Hey, who is the guy? He was ran for the Louisiana legislature from South Louisiana. He's got a blog. Tony Perkins. Tony Perkins.
Yeah.
So interesting fact, Rex, you may remember this after I say it, but for the 80s something people watching or whatever, this is just a little bit of life experience.
Mm-hmm.
And this David Crockett just prompted my memory. So when Romney was the nominee for the Republican Party, I got to tell you, I was a delegate to the Republican National Convention, and I remember sitting on the floor and all the way up to the moment, of I was an at-large delegate. I mean, I wasn't committed anywhere. I could vote how I wanted to vote, but it was obvious that Romney was going to be the nominee. And I got to tell you, I was uneasy about Romney. And Tony Perkins was sitting right beside me, and I leaned over to Tony. I mean, look, Tony's arguably one of the biggest Christian leaders in the country. I mean, he articulates things well and all. And I mean, the guy's got a moral conscience. And, I kind of leaned over. Tony was sitting right on my left, and I leaned over to Tony. I was like, well, what are you going to do? And he wrote on his vote. He wrote Mitt Romney. And I said, well, if you're solid, I'm solid. And I wrote Mitt Romney down, and I voted for him. I mean, it's kind of like us wearing the T-shirts that time, got to own up to it.
Yeah.
I
Sometimes you have to pick your poison.
I got to tell you right now, I'm planning on going to Utah to campaign against Mitt Romney for re-election to the Senate. If you're a Republican and you ain't even got to be a Republican. You can be a Democrat. If you want to go with me and campaign against him, by all means, let me know. We'll go together. I don't care. But that guy,
just something.
He's got to go.
Yeah, he's kind of like John Kerry, only on the Republican side. I mean, think about it for a second. They're almost the same. Hey, our good friend and former amigo Shane Cheatham says HB 37. I think, is that the one that McCormick has proposed again, Shane? Anyway, says it passed out of committee today, 10-3. Permitless conceal and carry. And look, I got to say, what this is actually doing is removing the restriction. It is not giving us the right. It's removing the pre-existing restriction if it passes. But we know that John Bell is going to veto it, and we know that the rest of our Republican delegation, no matter what they say in the news and yap, 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 they're like the little dog in the cartoon, the little bulldog and the little yard yapper running around. No matter how much those Republicans yap, with the exception of McCormick, they're not going to be able to override John Bell's veto. So I appreciate the update, Shane, but I have little faith in that. This is only like the 10th time it's been proposed.
Now I got to tell you, so for those of y'all watching, in this mayoral Shreveport race coming up, you're going to have a test of party politics coming up. I mean, Democrat, Republican, you really got that thing kind of cooking over there, but you've got an independent thing going over there too with Mario Chavez, and there's been a lot of happenings on that. And Rex, you and I are fixing to bird dog into that and really weigh in heavy. And I think overall, I mean, look, you and I have been, maybe not you as much as me, but a party political guy. Right. And maybe me more so than you. But I got to tell you, remember when we interviewed the girl from Texas with the, what was that different, they were talking about forming this different group.
Oh, and blasted, I can't think of the name. But yeah, I remember the interview. Not well, obviously, but I remember.
I think a lot of people are not identifying with party politics anymore, and they're really trying to search and read between the lines on all of these political candidates and really get to the heart of where they really stand. And, like Tommy Chandler, for example, he articulates in a campaign for term limits. He wins the office on messages like that and then fails to follow through.
Well, look, a year later, I want you to listen carefully because I'm going to show you what we've heard from Tommy 1 year later on term limits. It's the infamous political crickets.
Are you saying the Brim are on the beds? Is that what you're saying?
Actually, they are. They're moving up.
I know they are.
Let me throw an update out here real quick. So Brian Hammond says they changed it from 18 years old to 21 years old. Yeah, see, that's a whole other problem, and I don't want to do a whole gun rights or lack thereof show tonight, but we'll spend some time on that.
So I'm glad that Brian Hammonds is commenting, and I'm glad. And I'm going to call Brian Hammonds out. Brian Hammonds, you've been the bull in the China cabinet. What about term limits? Well, I know what you said, and I know where you stand. Why has it not came up at the Bossier City Council meeting yet? Why has it not been proposed? I mean, Tommy Chandler won't respond. I mean, he's hiding in a cave or on a plane going to play golf in Vegas or something. Why has Tommy Chandler not pushed this forward yet? Yeah. I know I'm calling you out, and I apologize being mean. I don't want to steer you away, but you are on the council, and if I didn't call you out, I mean, people would say I was a hypocrite.
I gotta say, dude, you called him out in the nicest possible way. That was not mean at all.
Look, I did, and the thing is I respect the fact that he is an elected official.
Right.
He is here amongst everybody else on the show, regular folks watching this show, and he's commenting.
Yeah,
and he's not hiding. He's not hiding in a cave somewhere watching on YouTube, so we can't tell who it is. He's not hiding. He's right there.
Well, Brian says
he's even offering to call in.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let's have him come in. You want to text him the link?
Well, let's see here. I can't remember if I've got his number. I will text him the link. Absolutely.
Okay, I got to make sure. Oh, yeah, here we go. I can switch this over. Okay, I was trying to find my guest screen. So, look here, folks. It's a live show. We've got our relatively newly elected city councilman from District 1, I think, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's District 1. Anyway, and he's willing to come on the show and address what we just called out Tommy Chandler on, and partially called out Brian Hammonds and Chris Smith too. So that's pretty cool. David Johnson says Brian will stand tall, so he can either come in on that video link or I can fire up Skype and we'll give him the call-in phone number. Either way, whichever way works easier.
Okay, so stand by, folks. Rex, talk a little bit. I'm trying to work through this.
Yeah, so folks, we promise
that'll be a treat.
Yeah, it will. It'll be cool. So, folks, we are going to get to the Linwood Bridge, and trust me, we've got plenty of content on that. And we're going to show off emails. Actually, we showed, I think, these before, but we're going to visit that again because apparently some folks involved in the bridge project have very short-term memories. To kind of throw a little pun out there as far as term limits, they're term limited on their memories of how this bridge project has gone down. So, we're definitely going to call that out. But in the interim, we're trying to get our city councilman online, so that may take a second or two. Let's see.
You're gonna have to bear with me.
That's okay. So, David Johnson says, if I remember correctly, Brian did not run on term limits, so we'll find that out here in a minute. And it looks like David is boycotting Disney. Margie Ann Johnson says he's not afraid of being called out. Yeah. And look, when we talk about Brian being the bull in the china closet on the city council, we say that in an absolutely loving way because we like to see a bull in the china closet on the city council. I personally like seeing him answer questions all the time because it just aggravates King David. King David's been silenced, for the most part, for months now.
Yeah, but I'm going to give some credit to King David. King David, I think it was the last meeting, he came out and he was speaking in a positive way, and I thought, it was on, what is that saying? They say like the dean of the Senate or whatever. He came out and he was speaking in a way that was positive, and I thought was in a good way to the rest of the council when he was articulating about something that was going on or had what the action that they had previously taken. I thought, I got to tell you, I thought it was productive. I thought he was actually filling the role that he probably should take in guiding. I really did. I got to give him credit.
I'd have to agree with you. He did. As much as I make fun of King David and the whole, Zamboni situation and all that and everything else that he's done, I think you're right. His last little soliloquy at the city council was pretty much on point as best I can remember, and he did do it in a relatively positive way. So,
yeah. All right. So
here we go. So we have a guest in the green room. Let me go ahead and switch screens here, and let me see. Oh, well, it's definitely not Jill Hines. Hold on. Let me switch this around. Brian, we'll bring you on. Okay, let's see here. We're going to assign him to guest number 2. Ha-ha! Can you hear us? Oh, no, wait. Why don't we have audio? All right, hold on, Brian. Why don't we have audio? We don't have audio, Brian. No, looks like...
muted.
Yeah, try going out and try coming back in again. All right. Technical difficulties for a second.
Me.
Yeah.
You know what? And hey, here's the thing. Any other elected official, you see how easy it is? It wasn't pre-planned. Brian Hammons, Tommy Chandler, if you're out there and you want to come in, you know what? We can send you the link, text me, and you can come in. And you can say and speak to term limits. It's that easy.
It is that easy. Okay, let's see here. Why do we not? All right, hold on a second, Brian. Let me try this. I'm going to switch you over to a different guest deal. Can you hear us now? Why? We just don't have audio from him. Dadgummit. Okay, we can do the call-in number.
Yes. Send me the call-in number, Rex, and I'll forward it to him.
All right. Hold on just a second, folks. Here we've got little technical issues going on, so we're going to try to do just a straight call in. Hold on, Duke, and I'll get that over to you. Actually, I could probably.
Kaylee Largan says Linton, not Linwood. It's Bossier Watch, not Shreveport.
Wait, did I put Linwood up there?
I don't know if you did or not. I'm wondering.
I could have been typing too fast or something. All right, hold on.
Okay, well, Kaylee may be confused just a hair because there is a connection to Linwood with this show. So when we start talking about, the bridge, the Linton Road Bridge, there is a connection because if, and I know, Kaylee, you are a follower of the show. You may recall we had a deal called the race back earlier in the year, and it was because um, Caddo Parish had a bridge that was being built that started 1 week before the Linton Road Bridge started in Bossier Parish. And it was a bridge that was supposed to be the same exact size bridge as the bridge on Linton Road.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, the bridge in Caddo Parish, and for everybody watching, it finished 6 months ago, approximately, or something along those lines. How is it that we don't even really have an exact timeline? We're not for sure that we're going to finish this bridge in Bossier now. What's the difference? How could that be? How could Caddo Parish finish a bridge that far ahead of us on Linwood, and here we are now in Bossier? So
yeah, that is the relation to Linwood there. All right, so here comes Brian. Okay, can you hear us, Brian?
Hey, Rex.
All right, Duke, can you hear Brian?
yeah, I got Brian loud and clear.
All right, and even
How
more,
are y'all doing?
pretty good. Can everybody else hear Brian? Y'all let us know in the comments. Doing pretty good. How are you this evening? Hey, thanks for coming on, Brian.
I'm good. How are y'all? Just got back from Baton Rouge a little while ago.
Brian, look, starting this off, I just want to give you all the credit in the world because look, people can say what they want to say about you, but you are what an elected official should be. You're not hiding. I mean, you posted in our comments, and then you said, "Hey, I'll come on the show. Ask me whatever you want to ask," and here you are. You're not hiding.
I'm glutton for punishment on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, what better things to do than call in and get beat up by two guys with a Facebook Live show?
I mean, look, that's what public service is about. It really is.
Well, I'm not a perfect individual, and like I've always said, I'm not a politician, but I am here to try and do what is right for the citizens of Bossier City and move this city forward and get rid of some of the old practices that have been going on for years here in Bossier City.
Well, I got to tell you, like I said earlier, when we call you the bull in the china closet, we say that in a positive way because I have thoroughly enjoyed hearing you ask questions quite often, which most of the other city councilmen don't.
Well, I just I'm from the old school, and the only way you're going to get the answers, whether you like the answer or not, and try to change that answer, is to ask the tough questions. I always make a joke before every council meeting that I take a bottle of smart water up there because it's going to make me ask better questions. That was one thing that I said, that I ran on, that I'm going to ask questions.
Yep.
The citizens, the constituents that elected me down here in District 1, they deserve answers on everything, whether it's small or whether it's large.
Well, here's the magic question. I'll let Duke go ahead and fire it off. So we're going to reverse the role. We're going to ask you the question and see where you stand.
All right.
So, Duke, fire away.
Yeah, look, now, your cohorts are going to chastise you for coming on here and even freaking talking to us. I mean, but here's the thing. Tommy Chandler ran on a campaign of term limits. He articulated for a charter commission. Term limits was a big thing. In fact, I went back and I looked through. And they'll probably go and delete them tomorrow, but it's too late, guys. I done screenshotted everything, so you can go delete it now, but it's out there. It's already there. But I screenshotted. He ran multiple ads on term limits and talked about corruption. Why has he not? I don't know, and I don't want to completely put you in a box because you're kind enough to come on the show, but why has he not put forward, trying to get the council to move on term limits? And where are we at on a charter commission? My buddy Chris Smith Why has he not put that forward? I just want to know. And I got to say to you yourself, I mean, you're a pro term limit guy. Why have you not put it forward?
Well, let's start off with the first question. It's a good question, Duke. I don't know why the mayor has not moved forward on term limits. We were hoping to already have something going on the charter commission, moving that forward, because as well as I know and that's going to take at least 2 years to get the charter commission together, to let every councilman get their person that they want on the review board. The mayor gets a couple of people, and that is one of the things that I was pushing for, along with other ideas on that charter review, is the term limits. I haven't decided whether it's 2 terms or it's 3 terms. I've only been there now 4 months. I was sworn in on December 21st, and I've hit the ground running. But it's an uphill battle. It's an uphill battle when everything that you do, you're trying to get your 4 votes together in order to do that. But I am 100% for term limits.
Well, that's good to know. And, like we talked about, we would hope, obviously, that Tommy still is, and we would hope and we think that Chris Smith still is. I don't really know the position on some of the other councilmen. We did that debate deal, and I can't remember. I think we did ask it, and I think everybody, on the District 1 debate that we did with you was for term limits. So it seems like the public, for the most part, is for it. So hopefully we'll get to see some movement on that. Maybe, maybe you can get with Chris, or maybe reach out to Tommy and see if y'all can start pushing some of this forward. At least get it presented.
Yeah, I know Chris may be watching. I don't know. He was in Baton Rouge with me for the past 2 days. That is one thing that we have pushed for. We have pushed for the mayor and his people to get the ordinance together, present it to the council, and let's move forward on this. As well as that has not been done yet. It's something that we're still pushing for. I think that we really need to get that done in this term. We need to get term limits in place.
Well, let me interrupt for just a second, Brian. So, Councilman and other amigo Chris Smith is watching the show, and as a matter of fact, he just put a comment up. He said, Chris Smith is still pro-term limits. I met with the mayor countless times. Trust me, it's being worked on. Just ask, I'll shoot it straight. So, excellent answer there from Councilman Chris Smith.
Well, I would say Chris Smith and Councilman Hammond, since you're on here, a lot of folks voted for folks because, there was an enunciation that there would be term limits, or there would be the proposal put forward, and there would be a vote on that. So, I would contend that, and I'm just speaking for myself, my opinion is that the mayor has not fulfilled his obligation and his commitment to the voters of Bossier City to put term limits forward. How long do we wait on Mayor Chandler to do this before we do it on our own? Because I feel like he's wagging the dog. I don't feel like he was sincere in his articulation for term limits. Now, you guys talk to him, and you may disagree. I don't talk to him. He doesn't call me, and he doesn't come on Bossier Watch. I appreciate y'all, but I don't feel like he was sincere. I feel like y'all are sincere. I don't feel like he was sincere. How long do we wait?
Well, that's a good question, Duke. And unfortunately, I don't have the answer on that. But, looking back, past administrations, back through Walker to DeMint, it has always been the common practice that, when the charter review is brought before the council, that it is brought up by the mayor. And, me and Chris both were giving that respect and hopes that it would already be brought up, just so we weren't those 2 guys that went and did that. But as everything, it gets to a point. where you can't wait any longer, and you just have to take matters into your own hand and get the job done.
All right, so I want to switch subjects for a second, Brian. So our good friend and again former was going to be CAO amigo Shane Cheatham says, speaking of bridges, ask Brian about the update we received on Jimmy Davis Bridge today. So do you have any update that you can share on that?
Yeah, Jimmy Davis Bridge is moving forward. We met with the Secretary of the DOTD today. He came and met with the Bossier delegation that was down there. Myself, Chris Smith, and Vince Maggio were there from the city, along with the CAO, Amanda Nottingham, and then members of the Bossier Parish Police Jury and some school board members and so forth. The big question that is that comes up every time about Jimmy Davis Bridge is the Jimmy Davis Bridge. What is going to take place with the Jimmy Davis Bridge once the new 4-lane bridge is built?
Right.
And that always comes into play. Well, we want to make it a linear park. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to, it's going to do everything. Well, no, it's not. It's a bridge. And my words are dynamite is cheaper than $30-40 million rehabbing the bridge. And the police jury, they feel the same way. But we have that looming over us that nobody can give us a clear explanation on whether or not the Jimmy Davis Bridge is in the historical registry. Some say it qualifies for it, so that's why we have to follow the same guidelines as if it is in the historical registry. Well, I don't know. I went to airline. I look at things a little bit simpler. It either is or it isn't. Right. It's either in the historical registry or it's not. Let's just let's move on. Let's get a 4-lane bridge down here and move on with it. And that's just we're at that play that they want to know. What is Bossier Parish? What is Bossier City? What is Caddo? What is Caddo Parish? What are y'all going to do with the Jimmy Davis Bridge? Well, Bossier City. I'm speaking for myself as a citizen of Bossier City and as a councilman. We don't have the money to maintain a bridge. There's so much more stuff that we need to do. Try to figure out pay raises, keep our people here, keep our policemen, keep our firemen, keep our city employees, and not worry about taking care of a 52-year-old bridge.
Cedric Glover articulated that as well too, and I think he articulated it on behalf of the city of Shreveport, was saying, look, we can hardly pay our police and firemen. How do you expect us to take over a bridge? And I got to tell you, from a armchair quarterback looking at government as a whole, I was actually proud of the politicians of Bossier and Caddo for standing in unison against the state on trying to get all of us up here to take over that boondoggle. I mean, really, that was a good move on everyone's part, and kudos to Cedric Glover and to everybody in Bossier for standing together on that deal, because it would be a boondoggle. And I think that there's probably going to be more come out on this whole deal in the near future, because as I understand it, you've got an I-49 extension thing tie in there, and I'm not pressing you to kind of chime in on that, but I mean, I don't know that it's right that a new bridge to go in down in South Bossier should be tied on whether or not Caddo and Bossier will take possession of the Jimmy Davis Bridge. Would you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. One of the things that we threw out there, if they want the bridge to stay and everything like that, I'm all for the lieutenant governor making it a state park. If they want to make it a state park and they take it over and do what they want with it, we're all for that. And Cedric Glover, I don't know Cedric personally. I was at the meeting about 3 weeks ago out at the port, and I really don't think that they expected Cedric Glover to be there. But Cedric Glover stood up. Cedric Glover stood up and fought. and I loved every word that came out of his mouth. He said those exact words that you just said. That Shreveport, Caddo, they don't have the money to do this. He talked about the failing infrastructure, everything that's going on over there, and you have to commend him for that. And I know that he's got a House bill that he has proposed down there. I don't know exactly what it is. I just heard about it yesterday while we were in Baton Rouge. I haven't really looked into it yet, but no, I really don't think that whether or not we get the 4-lane bridge on the money that has already been appropriated and the money that is sitting there should depend on whether or not we take over a bridge. Cities are not in the bridge business. And that's how I feel.
Hey, Brian, was Billy Nungesser in any of these meetings discussing this bridge and the state taking it over, or was he a party to any of that? And the reason I ask is because Billy Nungesser is supposed to come on the show here in the near future, and I'm just wondering if that's a conversation that perhaps we should have with him.
Duke, he was not in any meetings with us. I do know that he has been contacted about this, and I'm not putting words in his mouth, but he didn't say no.
Right,
he didn't say yes,
absolutely.
but he didn't say no.
Well, I've got an idea, Brian, and I know that I'm not in your district, but let me put this idea out there, since we also have one of the Red River Waterway commissioners in the comments as well, David Jones. How about we blow the bridge up? Well, first we need to get the Red River Waterway Commission and the Corps to dredge that area out really good, and then blow the bridge up and turn it into fish structure. Make sure it goes deep enough that we can still get barge traffic over it eventually, and boom. Problem solved. We get more bass fishing money in here. The bridge gets out of the way. We don't have to maintain anything, and then we build a new bridge. How about that?
That's right. Everybody gets about 10 or 20 feet that is theirs to fish at.
Exactly.
Once we do that, make some good brim and white perch beds out there on the river.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, Brian, I mean, look, I don't want to abuse your time, as some people would say that are watching this show, but I think we have, we got out of you what we wanted to, unless there's anything while you're on here you want to kind of plug in there for folks watching. I mean, we are grateful for you, commenting in the as an elected official. I think that's what it's about. I think elected officials shouldn't be fearful of chiming in on the show and talking about what's going on in the public, because they should view themselves as being just like us, as one of us. And I got to tell you, I hat tip to you for just saying, you know what? Hey, look, I'll come on, I'll talk. No, everything's an open book. That's the way it should be,
Well, I just kind of look at it,
Duke,
the day that me and my wife went up there to the clerk's office with Jill Sessions, and I signed my name and I paid my fee to run in a political election. I just kind of looked at it as, I'm not here to hide anything. Everything that I do as a politician, one is public record, and it's in the eye of the people that elected me. And if I can be as transparent as possible, not with just the people in District 1, but with the people of Bossier City. I know we all hold a district, but I look at it as, yes, I'm elected by District 1, but I am here to do what is the best for the citizens of Bossier City. And I think if everybody got that outlook, I'm not saying that they don't. I think if everybody would just look at everything that we do, is this the best decision that we can make for the citizens of Bossier City? Bossier City, we would have people flocking here to Bossier City because it would be the best place in the world. Not that it is not the best city in Louisiana, but we could make it even better.
Yeah, I got to agree with that. And hey, Brian, maybe we'll get you to come back on here in the next couple of weeks on another show, because future Mayor Jeremy Gallman who is of course from South Bossier.
I know Jeremy, and tell him, I know he's listening. I saw his post today, and tell him I'm working on getting him a buckle down here in South Bossier.
There we go. Yeah, we'll maybe have you back on with some ideas on how to improve business in South Bossier in this civil war we have going on. So anyway, hey, we appreciate your time.
Thank y'all very much, Duke and Rex.
Yeah, anytime. You're welcome on, Brian. So you can go ahead and just hang up and back to the comments or whatever. Thanks, bud.
All right, bye-bye.
Well, now see, Rex, I gotta tell you, that's cool. That is what it's about. I mean, look, it don't make a crap. I mean, look, he could have come on here and he did really good. He could have came on here and he could have made a mistake in something that he said. And I'm sure somebody will find some fault in something that he said. But you know what? To heck with it.
Yeah,
let it all hang out. He comes on here. He says what he thinks. And you know what? If you don't agree with him, then great. You vote against him the next election.
Yeah.
But if you do agree with him, then great. But you know where he stands. It's not like he's walking around trying to hide. He's not Tommy Chandler and saying he supports term limits and then you can't find him.
Right. Well, here's the thing about it is, we've heard from a few politicians that they're scared or whatever to come on to the show because of the questions they might get. And look, granted, we're pretty good fans of Brian. Yeah, we're pretty good fans of Brian so far, but that was completely unscripted, completely unplanned. He decided to come on the show and address what we were talking about right then and there. Did a good job with it. We would do the same to any politician that wants to come on the show, even if you don't agree with what we're saying. Come on and let's discuss it. So, yeah, that worked out really well. All right.
I mean, that's what it's about. So,
I agree.
Anyway.
Let's move forward to this Linton Bridge.
Yeah, so a lot of you may not live in North Bossier, and this may not even apply to you. You may be like, why the heck would I even care about some stupid bridge that crosses over Black Bayou? It doesn't affect me. I live in downtown Benton. I don't even, I go up and I go home. It doesn't affect me. I live in South Bossier. It doesn't affect me. I live in Shreveport. I live in Halton. Who cares about that? I live in Plain Dealing. I'm not going to cross that stupid bridge.
Mm-hmm.
But what I will say, it is an example of government at work, and this is how government could affect you anywhere that you live. If you cross a bridge, and it isn't even necessarily a bridge, it could be a road, it could be the construction project or how it's performed or how it's done.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening here could be exactly an example of what could happen to you. And overall, I mean, and I'm putting the cart way ahead of the horse here, Rex, but I think it's an example of how you can have an effect, if you have the knowledge of kind of how these things go. And the only way you're going to get the knowledge is that you watch this, you pay attention to the detail, and you see how kind of this inner workings of this thing work so that the next time it comes around, you know what questions to ask.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree 100% with you. There's no doubt about that. So, all right, where do we want to start off with the police jury video, or where do we want to start?
Yeah, I think that's the best start because a lot of folks, so let me set the stage. So, the last police jury meeting, you had David North. He is like the head DOTD guy up here in North Louisiana. He loves Northwest Louisiana. I mean, I think this is his home. I don't really know the guy good. Had a good long conversation with him today in chat. He knows Northwest Louisiana good. He's responsible for all of the, DOTD projects that take place around here. And he was invited to the Bossier Parish Police Jury recent meetings. And right out of the gate, I'm assuming that the reason he was invited was to address the Linton Road Bridge project. And if you're not familiar with that project, if you've ever been up to Cypress Black Bayou, you've heard us talk about the park up there. And if you've been to Cypress Inn over the years as you were coming up, you had to cross that bridge over Black Bayou.
Right.
And It is a 11 span bridge,
Mm-hmm.
technically, that's how many spans it is, and it's being rebuilt. Well, this project has kind of been in the works for a little while, and if you live on the other side of the bridge, like me, okay, I was fixing to use a euphemism that would not be appropriate for the show, but you are wound up tight about this
Mm-hmm.
because it was supposed to only be about a 1 year project. Well, guess what, Rex? I mean, I
Hmm.
know it's no surprise to you,
Yeah, I mean, they've
but
done what my, Burt Gummer from Tremors said, and I've shown that before, but basically it's what government people do. They take something simple and they just complicate it.
absolutely. I mean, here come those dang, what are they, sandworms, whatever. I mean, they
Yeah,
complicate it and make it freaking tough. So,
right.
but David North made a good presentation to the Bossier Parish Police Jury, and I think that's the best place to start off.
All right, so let me go ahead and I'm going to cue that up. We're going to make, well, we'll see. If the audio doesn't work, I'll switch it around, but let's go ahead and hit play, and we'll see what happens. And
Good afternoon.
there we go.
Thank you for inviting me to come to the meeting. I think the topic of conversation that everyone's wanting to hear about is the Linton Road Bridge. The Linton Road Bridge is currently, just recently, got a revised schedule that indicates that it should be finished in late July. When does school open?
August.
August, mid-August?
No, probably early August.
3rd August. Gonna be running close. Gonna be running close. I'd be perfectly willing to answer any questions that I can about it. We're pushing them as much as we can. There's, of course, they have a contract with us, and we cannot arbitrarily determine things that they do. If I do that, I can order the contractor to put more men on the job if you're willing to pay for it, because I will most certainly see extra charges for that. I have talked yesterday, in fact, talked to the chief engineer in Baton Rouge. I happened to be there, and I talked to him about the Linton Road Bridge, and I assured him that it was the district's desire to have this contract run very strictly by the letter of the contract, that there would not be leniencies that we might have in other cases. And I understand contractually he has some option. We've had to give him recently in a change order 34 days of added time because of unavailability of materials. The concrete supplier could not get fly ash, and fly ash is required in the concrete. It's a necessary component.
Now, I'm going to stop right there.
Mm-hmm.
News flash, we're sitting here April the 6th of 2022, and the Bossier Parish Police Jury is just now learning of that there was a material shortage.
Oh, imagine that.
How is that possible? There's a material shortage. But anyway, who freaking knew? Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Of the concrete. There was a time when we didn't have any in it, and now every bit that we pour, because of the durability of the concrete, has fly ash in it. He could not get that fly ash, and consequently, that's a legitimate delay. That was 34 days. There is also a request for weather days, although he's under a calendar day contract. Our contracts do have it in them, a provision for inclement weather, and it's.
Yeah, there's a key word there, other than fly ash.
Yeah. Now that key word, Rex, is calendar day contract. And so for those of you watching that are tolerating and hanging in there, now we want you to hang on this because we're going to give you some revelations here that are probably going to you're going to lose your mind.
The
you're
proverbial
gonna be,
blow your skirts up.
Yeah, you're going to be mad, and you're probably going to hang up and say, dadgum, them dadgum guys at Bossier Watch, they made me watch this crap. Now I'm mad as a hornet, and you're going to have to go to Home Depot and buy 10 penny nails because that's what you're going to have to chew.
Well, and you're not going to hear this reasoning that we're going to actually show you from any of these police jurors sitting there.
Well, speaking of a police juror, I'm going to fast forward us to Philip Rogers because Philip Rogers asks a question. So here we go.
I'd like to ask you a couple questions.
Yes.
You know, this bridge over the lake has my district going out one way, and it's been this way for a year. And first thing I want to touch on is you said that if we would pay some more, we could have some more people there on the bridge.
No, I can order them to do that.
Okay.
I could, and it's really not a good idea. That contractor right now has advertisement out trying to hire additional staff because we have another bridge with them over in Caddo Parish. And that bridge in Caddo Parish is just as crucial to them as Linton Road is to Bossier Parish. And they're having very limited success in hiring additional people.
Yeah. Well, I just want to make sure that the parish didn't pay for that bridge to get redone, and we appreciate the state paying for it tremendously. But, you know, I just don't think the people understand that it's y'all's project. But I've been asking Eric for a year, updates on the bridge, and then 15 days before the bridge is finished, supposed to be finished, then we get 3 or 4 more months. And so I just, as a juror, I want to know where that breakdown is from the parish to the state. Is that our problem for not asking the right questions, or is that, what's going on there?
I don't know that we've ever turned anybody down, Philip, for information when asked.
Well, I'm just a new.
Now Philip was trying. Did you get the impression that Philip was trying to bulldog the head of the DOTD and maybe suggest that it was their fault, or that somehow or another this surprise or lack of communication and it was the state's fault?
No, here's the way I read that. Again, I go back to my teenagers in the cookie jar. He was trying to blame the cookies being missing on, somebody else. So like in my case, one of the kids was trying to blame it on the brother. Isn't it, really your fault kind of thing. And folks, I want y'all to remember that Philip, thanked the state for paying for it, but, he pretty much said it's a state deal. That's what he's alluding to right there.
Yeah, now we're going to jump ahead here, and I want you to hear this part.
Have the social media and all the people that know so much these days on social media, and they go out at 3 o'clock and there's nobody working on the bridge. It just sometimes it's frustrating, and I don't know if that's the contractor's fault or what, but it's very frustrating to the people that live on the other side of that bridge.
I understand. Fully.
Glenn?
So social media and people who know so much. So everybody on Bentontown Happenings, everybody on, the Cypress Lake Friends and Bossier Watch, and I would have to assume he's talking about us, social media Rex, that we know so much and having an opinion and making observations. I mean, I'm guessing he's talking about us. Do you read it that way?
He's talking about us. Look, we've covered this now 6 times at least. We've talked about it. There's also been several posts in the Bentontown Happenings Facebook group, which is pretty active. And, of course, they can be critical like anything else. But, I mean, my goodness, it's not like it's public tax dollars or anything paying for this. I mean, us peasants shouldn't ask questions about this, and we certainly shouldn't ask our directly elected local officials on the police jury about it, because it's a state deal, not the police jury, right?
So Rex, we're purveying, innuendo and all this on police jury folks right now, aren't we? Because it's unfounded stuff. I mean, we're just lying and bullies and doing what we do.
Yeah, I mean, if we were to say that the police jury did in fact have an influence on the timeline, that would just be a lie and innuendo.
But there's no way, Rex, because they have said endlessly that this is a state project. In fact, Philip Rogers has said it multiple times that this is a state project. The police jury ain't got nothing to do with it, right?
Yeah, nothing to do with it.
Okay, well, I tell you what, cut 2 and 3, and we'll get off of this video. We may come back to it later, but that's about the nut nuts and bolts of that. David North, he answered questions. He stood up there as the state DOTD guy.
Right.
And, but, moving right along here and, as the purveyors of innuendo. So I don't exactly remember this photo, but what I can tell you is that it was early on last summer, and I took this out of my boat. And as you can see, the project right there, there wasn't really a whole lot done. They had the crane in there to start moving parts in there or what have you. Move on to 3.
All right,
We'll move through this pretty fast.
Yeah, let me get 3 dragged over here real quick. All right, so
look
there's
at that
3.
Look at that big, huge, freaking, form there. My goodness, if you didn't know any better, you would think that's a wall that's not being built on the border to stop illegal immigration.
Well, it's a good thing they didn't get it down in the in-fee area, or the Cypress District would have had a conniption fit, but that's a whole other conversation.
Why do you think we need such a huge, wall there? Why do you think we need that?
I don't know. It must have something to do with pouring concrete, but I want to pause for just a second. I want to put up a comment from our good friend Kaylee Larkin, who watches the show frequently and comments. She says, they started that bridge after COVID-19. They knew the labor shortage when they signed the contract. Who did the smaller Linton Road Bridge? That project was started after and finished long before the other one. Well, good point there, Kaylee, and we're going to share some more information on a couple of bridge projects. So
yeah, we are. And Rex, now I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say, because I remember having it reported to us that project that Kaylee Larkin's talking about. Now, this bridge on Linton right here was an 11-span bridge. If I recall correctly, that bridge that she's talking about was the same size. And it was started after, but there is a significant difference between the two. The bridge she's talking about was ordered to be a precast bridge and not a cast in place.
So let's kind of refresh everybody's memory. Precast means and correct me where I'm wrong here, Duke, and we're not bridge engineers, by the way, but precast is where they cast the concrete pieces at another location. Basically, not necessarily assembly line style, but let's just say in volume, so to speak, and then deliver it to it. Cast in place means they're going to pour the concrete and the forms at the location. Is that pretty much it in a very simplified nutshell?
Yeah, correct. And just so everybody would know, so like if you had ordered a precast, decking, that's actually poured at a plant in South Louisiana. That's where it comes from. The piers that are drove down into the ground, those actually come from Princeton. The place out there, they're the ones that do that there. So if this bridge had have been contracted to be or whoever had the opportunity to request it to be precast or cast in place, if they'd made the request that it be precast, those things would have been made, built, formed down in South Louisiana, and they would have been trucked up here and put in place. But anyway, I digress.
All right, now, speaking of the casting, and I may be jumping the gun, so just put the brakes on me, but this goes back to the term that we heard, what was his name, David North mention at the police jury meeting we were just playing about this fly ash, because fly ash is one of the components of the concrete process, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So as you recall, when we kind of started talking about this, we started talking about the race. Remember in some of our earlier shows, I had to go way back to find this, but cut 4, we talked about the race because Caddo Parish had a bridge that was of the same size, and they started a week before the bridge here over Linton Road. Now, what I will tell you is, while we coined them as being the same bridges, Rex, they weren't the same bridges. There was a difference.
Oh, really? Well, yeah, when we were looking at that project, Yeah, we just touted it as the same, and I was going to pull up the video from that show, but in the essence of time, I'm not going to do that. But I would encourage folks after this show, or if you really want to look some more about it, go back to our show number, what was it? Show number 46, which was August of 2021, and start around the 52-minute mark, 53-minute mark. You'll hear us talking about the Cypress District and their involvement in the process. And we discuss this particular project over in Caddo Parish versus the Linton Bridge as well. So you can use that as a reference from August of 2021 when we were talking about this. And that was not the first show. Okay. So with that said, Duke, go ahead.
Yeah, now this bridge in the image here, this was what was called the Linwood Project. And on, the Linwood Project, it started a week before the Linton Road Project. And here's the difference. This was a 15-span bridge, whereas the Linton Project is only 11-span project.
So this particular bridge is a longer bridge then, correct?
The bridge portion is longer than the Linton Road Bridge. So it begs the question, well, there has to be some differences. What on earth could be the differences? Because Rex, as you recall, this finished almost 6 months ago.
Yeah, already done.
Already done. Folks driving up now, y'all can go over there right now and you can drive across it. How is it that Caddo Parish was able to beat the snot out of Bossier Parish? How is that possible?
Well, that is a very good question. Do we have any idea how?
Well, I think I got an idea, and it might go back to our little bit of a lesson on cast in place and precast, because this was a precast structure. They shipped all these precast decking out of South Louisiana. They didn't cast it in place.
Interesting. Now, our good friend David Womack, who is a contractor, commented there is a shortage of Portland cement. So, that could be a factor in it. But I would also say, David, that, this Linwood Bridge in Caddo Parish would have had to have dealt with the same shortages because, again, they started it just 1 week prior. Kaylee Larkin says that bridge looks much more rural, less used than the Linton Road Bridge, too. Well, that may be true, but they got traffic shut down on the Linton Road Bridge. So, honestly, the traffic feel free to clarify, Kaylee. The traffic doesn't really matter because there's no traffic going across it, either one of them.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to point out as well, too. So you hear a lot of folks talking about on social media and Bentontown happenings and all over, they're complaining and griping about, we're not seeing laborers here at certain times. We're not seeing work being done. We're not seeing whatever. Now, I want to make a point on that, Rex. You know what Caddo Parish does that Bossier doesn't do? In Caddo Parish, they've got live video monitoring. Remember on our shows?
Yeah, we did actually show that, yeah.
We showed live project cams. I wonder if anybody in the police jury has the foresight to say, you know what, why don't we put a live camera on this so we can see actually when and if there actually is people working or not? Or you know what? Now just let it go.
Now remember, Duke, one of the problems with the Linton Road Bridge being able to proceed at a better pace was boaters going under the bridge. Remember, there was that whole ordeal and who was going to do the buoys and was it going to be Cypress or Pulley? So if they'd have had the cameras out there, they could have put a stop to that as well. I mean,
they could have, but look, your police juryman, Philip Rogers, he even made a comment to KTBS. I've got a link in the notes. He even went in there and was talking about it, and he said it at a police jury meeting. What the comments he made on the KTBS thing, maybe that's where they got the comments. But
give me a second and I'll have those pulled
pull it up real quick.
Yeah, so give me a second here and let me do a little copying and pasting. I got a little bit behind. All right, let's see here. Let me change this right here and give me just a second. Let me pull this up. We'll switch it over here. And let's make it a little bigger so we can at least try to read this. Okay, so might be a little difficult to read. Give me about 10 seconds here. Let me see if I can make it a little bit larger, and then we'll go down and read it. But anyway, so go ahead, Duke.
I think it was kind of down at the bottom of those comments. It was kind of towards the end, but that was the comment that really caught my attention from, our police jury. And right.
Is that it or a little bit further?
Well, the next sentence, it's like it's their side job, Rogers said, adding, other contractors have told him the job should have been completed much sooner. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, and he did also ask if there was a possible breakdown, at which we heard him say, if there was a possible breakdown in communication between DOTD and the parish when it came to progress. It's gone from on track to we're months out.
Who knew? Surprise, surprise. How is that possible? How could that be a surprise? I don't understand, Philip. How is that a surprise?
Yeah.
Because Rex, didn't you have some dialogue with him on a Facebook post? Isn't that accurate?
Yeah, we did. Let's see. Is that one of the links there, or is that the screenshot? I think it's the screenshot, right?
And do you remember the guy? Remember the guy that was riding his jet ski underneath there, and he was accusing everybody that coming under or griping or complaining about getting shot as being all the Karens. Remember that?
Yeah.
I don't remember that guy's name.
It was actually quite hilarious.
It was hilarious. He lives on the other side. I mean, and then everybody was all in an uproar because, you got boats delaying the progress or whatever. Well, you know what? That was just another wag the dog thing. That wasn't really a delay.
Yeah, it was just a little shell game going on. So here are the comments, and it was a pretty amicable conversation or dialogue back and forth. But I did highlight this one part. Well, notice where I've highlighted in yellow. Notice that just a few sentences above that. Let me see if I can get this dealt with here so I can help everybody out. Notice just a few sentences above that. He talks about that. That they're not passing the buck. He wants what's best for the project. If that means allowing the bridge to be open to boat traffic when they aren't working, he's for it. But if the contractor says it's slowing the project down, then we need to address it. This, and highlighted here, is a state project, not a parish project, as they are paying for the bridge and they are all over it.
No. They are over it all.
Over it all. I'm sorry. Yes, over it all.
To me, that means he's saying that the state's responsible, not the parish. The state has complete control. The parish has no decision making. The parish has nothing to do with it, any of it.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me. It's their deal, their baby, completely. And so the police jury really doesn't have any say-so. And as a matter of fact, he goes on to say that, the Cypress District wanted to keep it open, talk to the contractor into keeping it open. I want y'all to remember this part too. I know I harp on the Cypress District all the time, but the Cypress District wanted to keep it open. That's not working. The Sheriff's Department can't write tickets without a boom being up, blah, blah. The district fought to keep it open. The police jury is trying to help make this go smoothly and finish the project. And, of course, I can call him at any time, and the phone calls go both ways. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, so a look back on the project, and, there was a plan in hand meeting. And, he says that this is a state project. Parish ain't got nothing to do with it. Well, is that exactly correct? And does the parish not have any say, anything, whatever? Actually, I think we need to go to cut 8 and let's actually show the plan in hand meeting. And if you're not familiar with the plan in hand meeting, that's where everybody, all the stakeholders, they meet at the location, they go over the designs, and they give input. Right. And as you will see right here, November 28th, 2018. There's a lot of names here that look like they're from Bossier Parish.
Wow.
I mean, in fact, they all got BPPPJ in front of them. Look at all those names.
Yeah, I mean, we got a whole lot of folks. Let me see. We've even got somebody from the Cypress Commission there. Yeah, look at all these. Butch Ford, Bill Altimus, Eric Hudson, important name to remember. Oh, our good friend Doug Rimmer, Wanda Bennett, Bump Skaggs, and Bruce Easterly.
A lot of folks there. Sure were.
I mean, look, maybe they were just there, because they're going to have to close the road down. I don't know.
Now keep on scrolling down, and if folks are wondering, you're wondering about this delay in the project, and you're kind of wondering, well, how? Philip Rogers is even wondering. He doesn't know. He's trying to figure it out. But keep scrolling, keep scrolling, keep scrolling. You're close, right there. So from right there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines. 75-foot guardrail with flared end treatment is required on northwest, southwest, and southeast corners. The northeast corner will require a design exception from the parish for a 50-foot long test level 2 NCHRP 350 guardrail in lieu of the 75-foot long test level 3 MASH guardrail.
Well, that sounds kind of complicated.
It sounds really complicated, but if you do a Google search of NCHRP 350 guardrail, basically what you'll see is these metal guardrails like we see all up and down the interstates.
Yeah.
Especially when you approach bridges. It's just a guardrail, some of those metal things. It ain't nothing technical at all. It's just got some technical words right there. So interesting you see that right there in the plan in hand meeting. You got, it's laying out the guardrails, right?
Right. Okay.
Now remember that, and we're going to come back to that point here in just a minute. So getting back to the parish and their role and whether they had any responsibility, obviously it's a state project according to the police jury. And, I mean, they ain't got nothing to do with it. They're hands off. I mean, this is the state. This is your deal.
Yeah.
It's all on you. So all of a sudden, there's this email from the state to the police jury. And
well, isn't that interesting? Now, do we probably need to read from the bottom up or from the first page down?
Well, we can read right here at the top, and this is from the state to the parish.
Well, let's reverse that. This is from Rachel Hauser, who's, I think Rachel's a secretary for the police jury, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she is sending a response, to the state when the state requested that the parish submit a resolution voted on by the police jury to design waivers and exceptions for the state project. Now, why is it that the state would be asking for resolutions from the police jury on the project if the parish has nothing to do with it and they have no control, they have nothing whatsoever? Why would the police jury have to do anything? The state could just do it on their own if the parish has nothing to do with it.
Right.
Why is that? So, is it accurate? Is it inaccurate? But, Rachel Hauser sends them an email and says on the police jury meeting of June 3rd, 2020, and if you go to cut 10, you'll actually see where the police jury actually took action and what she's talking about.
All right, let me pull that up real quick. Presto. Let's enlarge that a little bit. And here's the motion made by none other than Philip Rogers.
Philip Rogers? Are you kidding me? How is that possible that Philip Rogers is the one articulating that this is solely a state project and the parish has nothing to do with it? But
it's not, look, it's not just any resolution. It's not some ceremonial resolution. It literally says in that first line there, to adopt a resolution accepting design waivers and exceptions for state project number blah, 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 federal aid project, blah, 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 the Linton Road Bridge over Black Bayou Reservoir project, and to authorize the execution of documents.
Yeah, so this particular thing here is that the design waiver is for the use of a 50-foot guardrail at the northeast corner and a 75-foot guardrail at the remaining three corners of the bridge in lieu of the 87-foot 6-inch guardrail as shown in the latest off-system bridge guardrail standard plan for tangent guardrails. Could could this be could this be a resolution for, rather than having a metal bridge to a concrete or metal railing to a concrete railing? I wonder who could have made that request that they wanted all this concrete. Now remember, we have material shortages and all, so I, I'm I don't know. I'm scratching my head here a little bit. Why would we do that?
I don't know. And folks, I just want to let you know that it may seem like we're splitting hairs or splitting weeds here, digging down into the weeds, but there is a method to the madness, because we're going to start dealing with the length of this project here shortly, and the police jury's relationship to that.
Yeah, so the standard would have been metal, Rex, but somebody along the way requested that it be changed to concrete. Now, look, can't concrete, I like it. I mean, it's going to be stronger, it's going to last longer. You know, you wouldn't have to do maintenance every 15 years on it as you would with just the metal kind of standard guardrail. But obviously, somebody made a request to change this thing, and arguably what somebody, that's not an engineer, that doesn't read plans and doesn't do all this crap for a living, the and as a Rhodes Scholar from Stupidville, the thing you would deduct is that if you made a significant change to the project on your railing to go to concrete, obviously it's going to take longer. You got to pour forms and such. When you put the metal in, it's good to go right then once you do it. But when you at least pour concrete, guess what? 28 days for it to cure. You gotta wait 28 days for it to cure. I mean, throw in there if you got a shortage on fly ash or some crazy something like that.
Right. Yeah. Which, again, I want to point out, certainly didn't affect the Caddo project, which was a longer bridge, by the way. All right. And the other thing that I want to point out is, has anybody heard any of this mentioned at any of the police jury meetings or from your police jurors in their explanation of the delays? Has anybody heard any of this? Or do they just say, oh, it's a state project, and there were boaters going under the bridge, there was material shortages, labor shortages, COVID. So which one are y'all hearing? Are y'all hearing the real deal, or y'all just hearing the excuses?
Well, all of the excuses, we're going to address all of the excuses here in just a minute. From fly ash shortage, material shortage, you name it, we're going to address that here in just a minute.
Okay.
So moving right along, I have in the notes that we go back to replay on that link, and I don't remember which one, but on a June 22nd. Yeah, let's go back to that link.
Okay, so give me a second. Let me switch screens here, and let me get that one queued up. Hold on just a second. So I'm going to put us both back here, and that way we'll have the little Pinocchio guy. And so just kind of ad lib for a second. Let me get the replay deal done here. It'll take me just a second. All right.
Kaylee Larkin, are you an engineer? Dadgum, she's saying concrete never actually fully cures. However, it gains exponential strength during the first 28 days.
She's been reading up on the Hoover Dam.
Yeah,
and that's fine. That's fine. She does have a point. Well,
Kaylee, I want to know where in what section the guy's buried down there in the concrete. I want to know.
Yeah, I would like to point out that the concrete never actually fully curing also depends on the volume of concrete and many other factors as well, Kaylee. So, but you do have a point. All right, so Duke, this is the December the 15th. No, we want June the 2nd replay. Is that the one?
I think it's 22nd.
Okay, yeah, give me a second.
And David Womack says she is correct.
Yeah, she is correct. Okay. Okay, so I've got that replay. To make sure I'm right, Duke, bear with me a second. Above in the notes where the completion dated June 22nd, the replay link right above that is the one that we need queued up, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And all right, let me do start live review. That should give you control. Let me flip screens over here. Okay, that should be it, I hope.
Rutro, you roll with it. I am not in control at all.
Yeah, I'm the only one watching it. So you'd have to join that video. Okay, what's the time?
55:18.
All right, gotcha. Here we go, right here. All right, 55:18. Just tell me when to stop.
Hopefully they can catch up.
How many feet of retaining wall are they having to build? Because that's what people say, that's just a little couple of span bridge, but they don't realize how much.
It's not just a little. So I think they're going to, I can't remember the number. Butch, do you remember? Was it about 2,000 feet of retaining wall?
See, the people don't understand that they have to go in there and do a retaining wall. Isn't that right on the side?
It is. So they have retaining wall on both sides of that bridge.
It wasn't there before.
No, it wasn't, and they have tiebacks every 50 feet in between it, and so it's not as easy as just replacing what was there. And that bridge is
the public
much wider.
realizes that they're looking at just replacing the bridge, and not all that went involved in replacing the bridge.
And the bridge is going to be wider. It's going to be a 40-foot wide bridge.
It's going to be raised up 3 feet.
No.
Okay, so you can stop there.
Yeah, let me stop it there. Okay, so what's the
question
significance?
is, who requested that retaining wall? Because if you look in the contract, it's interesting that there's about 1,500 feet of guardrail that has to be and wall that has to be pulled out, which is about the exact same amount of linear feet that they're talking about here, and that people don't understand. There's this retaining wall. It's interesting that there is a similarity in the exact amount of construction that he quoted right there. But overall, who requested that there be this, increased amount of retaining wall?
Well,
we'll leave that one hanging there. Go to cut 7. Are you already on cut 7?
I'm actually half a step ahead this time.
You are. Daggum. See, you got me off on my game here. So I got to catch up to you.
Yeah, so this is cut 7. So this is from the very top is from Eric Hudson from the police jury to Barbara Ostuno, hope I said that right, who's with the state. And Eric says, do not have a direct line because the phone line just rang and rang. Okay. So let's see.
Keep scrolling down.
Rolling. Do you have time to discuss your choice, blah, blah, blah?
Yeah, now okay, now I remember. This was really good. Okay, so I'm assuming, the emails were kind of screwed up here as we were getting emails from the multiple state employees, but Butch, the original estimate was likely a parametric estimate. Gary would typically multiply the existing bridge length by 28 foot wide by $325, which is an approximate initial estimate. After receiving the preliminary plans, items including the retaining wall, footings, and embankment increased the estimate, to $4.2 million. So remember we talked about there were, from the preliminary plans, there were changes that were made along the process that increased the cost of the project. Remember us talking about that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And in here they talk about retaining walls. So keep scrolling down.
Okay. So they talk about some extra funding available, so on and so forth. This is a labor-intensive, complicated project, especially compared to our typical bridges.
Now, if you notice kind of right down there in the end of that, Barbara says, if this project is a calendar day project, it will increase the estimate even more.
That's important.
Yeah.
Calendar day project, it will increase the estimate more.
Calendar day project. Remember that, folks. The parish doesn't have anything to do with this project. It's the state. They have all the decision making. The parish ain't got nothing to do with it.
It's boaters, it's COVID, it's fly ash, it's the state. Blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Yeah, lies and innuendo.
Nah.
So before we move on to and really get deep into calendar days And what about material shortage? So all of y'all heard, David North in the beginning talk about material shortages. And months ago, we highlighted that. In fact, we talked about, fly ash. As a matter of fact, in our show, I remember articulating about fly ash being mixed with concrete, and that's kind of the thing now. It makes concrete harder and makes it, the strength better. I mean, remember us having all that
Yeah,
dialogue?
we did. Yep, I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty sure we have videos posted about that,
And I'm pretty sure shortly thereafter, there was a police jury meeting, and some people were talking about, and they didn't say innuendo, but I'm going to say innuendo now, internet innuendo and rumors and speculation and all that crap. Well, guess what? David North, the head DOTD guy, he just repeated it.
Almost verbatim.
Almost verbatim, except not months and months ago in last year. He just repeated it just a few weeks ago.
Yeah. So, look, folks, the point that we're trying to make here as we move through this is we generally on this type of stuff do try to do our homework. Obviously we're not bridge engineers and traffic engineers and all that sort of thing, but I'll just say Elon Musk, he graduated with a physics degree, I think. He's not a rocket scientist, but I think everybody would agree he's a rocket scientist. Why? Because he just studied it a little bit. All we have to do is study these documents.
Yeah, so as you're moving to cut 11, Rex, David Womack, it being 3 inches higher and wider is honestly a significant item. Hey, we would agree with that, Rex, but, seeing how they don't have the approaches even poured yet, I mean, I don't think we're even to the point of being able to talk about that.
Right.
When they get to that point, we'll talk about the fact that it's 3 inches higher and wider. And I got another point, so if you want to go to the decking, we'll talk about that here in a minute anyway. I appreciate your comments.
Well, now he's clarifying 3 feet, but the point still stands. Okay.
Yeah, that's right, 3 feet. Yeah, well, we're still not there, Rex. I mean, David, the approaches are not poured. They're not. So in cut 11, you've got here the guy with the state responding to Eric Hudson, and they're talking about fly ash and the shortage on fly ash. And you see this was August of 2021. I mean, how is it that all of a sudden this is some surprise to Philip Rogers and to the police jury? How is that possible? Right. I mean, we talked about it back then.
Yeah, and we asked for documents and got it. It's not like the police jury can't ask for the same documents. I mean, he's conversing with Eric Hudson.
Yeah, isn't he the engineer in the parish? I mean, how is it that you and I, road scholars of Stupidville, we here know it, but the people that are spending all of our taxpayer dollars, how is it that they don't know that?
Exactly. Good question there, Mr. Lowry.
I got you. So cut 12, there is another, email chain regarding builder supply and material shortages. So questions asked, about Red River Ready Mix, and getting new design, plans. I mean, Eric Hudson, to his credit, he's saying, what's the state doing to mitigate this?
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. I got an interesting question, Rex.
Okay.
I'm wondering, our project over there in Caddo that was 15 spans that was going on, started a week before this one. How come they weren't affected by this shortage of fly ash? In fact,
yeah.
What about all the other projects? Why were there no other projects that seem to have been affected by this fly ash shortage? Where are they at?
Was the Linton Road Bridge like the last on the list? They were getting the scraps and the fly ash? I don't know.
I don't know. Apparently, if you had gotten precast stuff, there was no shortage. Apparently, it was only cast in place.
Well, but the precast, the cast in place, that probably didn't really matter. I mean, that's kind of been said or alluded to anyway. What's interesting to me? You know how sometimes we hear terms in the news that we've never heard before, and then all of a sudden that's all we hear ad nauseum is these words, and then they just become, part of the lexicon. It's the same thing with this fly ash. We probably said fly ash 30 times tonight.
Yeah, probably so.
Anyway, all right. So back to the bridge, though.
Fly ash was not the only shortage.
Right.
Apparently there was a rebar shortage.
Oh, okay.
Did you know that? Cut 13. There was a rebar shortage. Harris Rebar. I didn't even know that was a company, but apparently Harris Rebar.
All right. Yep. Looks like. No, wait a minute. I want to see something here. Now, interesting. Now, this is from the Martian Evans. Hope I pronounced that right. To Eric Hudson. The state guy says. Yeah, it's a state guy says. To me, this really doesn't show that the supplier has a delay.
Yeah, he was taking exception to, the suggestion. It's almost as if, maybe the contractor was playing games on supplies or something or another. Because what I can tell you is I'm told that during that time frame that there wasn't no shortage of fly ash. Now, and case in point, name the other projects that were delayed due to a shortage of fly ash.
Hey, I want to bring up a point too. Barry Butler, that's actually a good point. Barry Butler says, did the I-20 Barksdale Bridge get delayed by fly ash?
Good question.
Good question, Barry. I don't think it did. Remember, we've all heard that was record time, and it's still ongoing, but I think it was. So yeah, interesting. All right.
So moving right along, you guys have heard already tonight, calendar day contract. You heard us say that earlier, and we prompted you to remember calendar day contract. So let's go to cut 14. And let's talk about calendar day contracts. So as you see right here in this email chain, there apparently was an email to the person with the state, and it responding to a request. Scroll down a little bit further. Let's start off with the email request to keep going. Stop right there from Eric Horton. Barbara.
Yeah, let me get it. Let me get it positioned and highlighted for the folks watching.
Yeah.
There we go.
So
okay.
Barbara, I do want to request that the parish wants this project to be a calendar project, not a working day project, and we want it finished as soon as possible. What is the recommended construction time? I think no more than 240 calendar days, but would like to hear the state's thoughts. So I'm just curious, Rex, remind me again, because I'm originally from Halton, but how many days are there in a year? Ain't it like 365 days?
365 calendar days, maybe 365 and about a quarter if we want to get technical with the whole leap year thing. But yeah, 365 calendar days. Eric Hudson wanted it done in 2/3 of that.
Well, he thought no more than 240 calendar days.
Right.
So this thing started in April. I think they shut it down April 20th of 2021, but they gave the notice to proceed before that, I think in the first or the end of March. So theoretically,
this would have been 8. This would have been 8 months, right? Figuring 30 days a month.
I mean, yeah.
Average. I know some of them are 31, but let's just say 8 months, right?
So he sends this email to them. Let's scroll back up.
And look, good for Eric. Good for Eric for wanting to hurry it up.
Yeah, they're wanting to get it finished as soon as possible. I mean, that's what we all want. Everybody wants that. No doubt about it. Keep going all the way to the top.
Oh, look, we have a response from an engineer.
Yeah, go ahead with it.
All right, so let me kind of highlight this as we go for folks that are watching. This is from Amanda to Eric Hudson and another state person. And here is the response. Says, Mr. Hudson, this contract is currently structured as a working day contract with 340 working days allowed. All right, so let me highlight that. 340 working days allowed. I have attached the contract time estimate for H.013129, which was prepared by myself and the project engineer, Mr. DeMartian Evans. Now we know who he is. He's the project engineer, was. Based on our experience and guidance shown in the attached worksheet, we calculated a total contract time of 340 working days. Working days, which are not the same as calendar days, correct? All right.
That's correct. Keep reading.
If the contract time is to be managed on calendar days, as requested by Eric Hudson from the parish, the calculated total would be a minimum, read this folks, a minimum of 476 calendar days. Oh, that's a little different. Please note that this calculation does not include weather days, which would also need to be considered when calculating the calendar completion date.
So we've blown completely through 340 calendar days already. I would argue that we're, way past. I mean, we're past 365 calendar days, but we've moved to a calendar day project. I jumped ahead a little bit in what I was saying there, but they're saying that if you choose to make it a calendar day project, it's going to be 476 calendar days. Now, why would, if the parish has nothing to do and no control, nothing, zero, nada, how is it that Eric Hudson is saying we want it to be a calendar day project, and they're articulating the faults of making it a calendar day project?
Well, maybe he's just making friendly suggestions.
I guess so.
But that's typically reserved. Of course, I don't know what, all is involved in Eric Hudson's job title and all that. Typically you would think the politicians would be, we want to try to do it in 200 calendar days, if at all possible, because my constituents are mad that the bridge is going to be shut down. You would typically think it'd be reserved for that, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
So everybody's probably wondering, well, how did it turn out? Did it turn out to be a calendar day project, or did it turn out to be a working day project? Yeah. Well, you know what? We got the answer for you.
Yeah, give me a second and I'll get that pulled up here. Let's get rid of this. And let's see, this is cut 15, right?
Yep. We're moving through a lot of cuts tonight, folks.
Yes, we are. Oh, look, and we even have it highlighted. And I have a little pointy finger pointing at it.
Already, that worked out well.
Yeah, it worked out great.
So I don't remember what page of the contract this is, but in the actual contract and the terms, here is what it says regarding contract time.
Yeah, it says the entire contract shall be completed in all details and ready for final acceptance within 345 calendar days. Performance of work on this contract shall begin on the date stipulated in the notice to proceed and shall be completed within the time specified in the contract document, subject to such extensions as may be authorized.
Now, you and I are no engineers, and we certainly don't do state contracts and all that, and we may be just totally butchering it. And for those of you out there, and Kaylee Larkin with your engineering fam right there with you, I mean, the point I'm wanting to make here is the fact that if the parish has no say and they have no control over anything, well, obviously the state had this set up on a working day contract. The parish, basically said they wanted a calendar day project. The state responded back and said, if we put it structured that way, that will result in 400 and however many days. And guess what? The actual contract gets let and it's a calendar day. So it looks like the parish got what they asked for, but wait a minute, it's innuendo that the parish has any control over anything. Yeah. They've got nothing to do with it.
No, those are just imaginary emails between the parish and the state engineers. They're just imaginary, folks.
It's more lies and deception on the, you and us. Just more of that innuendo out there.
Now, newsflash, you folks can request these exact same documents, and we'll, I'm sure I'll end up posting them on Bossier Watch 2 as a separate post, but you can request these too. Now, Barry Butler's got a good question, so let me put this out there as we move forward and then start wrapping this up. Barry Butler says, how did he, I guess talking about Eric Hudson, come up with the 240-day project? Well, I don't know. It's a pretty good question there, Barry, because he was apparently off from what the state had projected. And then Barry says, how did they go from 400-plus calendar days to 345? I don't know. They just pulled it out of thin air, I guess. Now, that is rumor. That literally is rumor and innuendo. We have no idea.
Yeah, Kaylee Larkin says Barry Butler agreed. There had to be some negotiation somewhere. Yeah,
ding,
you're right.
Ding, 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 ding. That's the point.
That's the point. So for, certain police jury members to jump out there and say the parish ain't got nothing to do with anything, that this is a state project, they got nothing to do, they deaf, dumb, and stupid, that's ludicrous. It's inaccurate at best. The emails and stuff show otherwise.
Yeah. Now, our good friend David Womack, again, who is a contractor, among, I'm sure, lots of other things. David Womack says the state does try to work with local municipalities to make it a win-win situation.
Yeah, and look, David North at the police jury meeting now, and to in all fairness, a question was asked, and I'll give Doug Rimmer credit. Doug Rimmer asked a pretty good question, and we could go to Restream, but we'll skip over it, Rex, so that we can kind of speed through this, because I know we're already done got long-winded, and everybody's probably getting weary of this.
Mm-hmm.
But we appreciate y'all hanging in there and paying attention to this, because this stuff matters. And
yes, it does.
This could be the project that's happening just down the street from your house. You don't have to live in Benton for this whole situation to be happening to you. There is a reason why this kind of thing happens. And, as folks who are wanting to get good government and accountability, which every politician articulates they want accountability, but yet it's hard work and it takes digging into nitty-gritty details and actually speaking up and saying something at public meetings, which is why it means a lot when somebody like Brian Hammonds, who's would just, hey, you know what, you're talking about something I know about. Yeah, I'm going to chime in. Bring me on. I'll talk about it right now. I mean, dadgum, that means a lot. But I got off track, Rex. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So
that's okay.
At the most recent police jury meeting, David North, he went and he spoke, and, Doug Rimmer asked a question regarding stipulated damages, because, after you get to a certain point, the contractor, if he hadn't completed the job within the time limit, he's got damages per day that he has to pay, a penalty per se.
Right.
Well, Doug Rimmer says, well, them penalties are pretty stiff, and how much are they?
Mm-hmm.
And David North, he didn't know off the top of his head, and he turned around and he asked, I guess, one of his aides, and the aide said it was $3,000 a day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, that's not accurate according to what we've seen. In the actual bid, the contract, right there, it was actually $1,500 a day.
Right.
So it's not $3,000. It's actually half of that. It's actually $1,500 a day. I mean, it ain't a big deal.
Yeah, it's not a big deal, and he probably just misspoke or whatever. It's not a big deal. But whether it's $3,000 or even $1,500 a day, that's a relatively substantial penalty for a contractor, I suppose.
It is, but I got to tell you, if you had watched the police jury meeting, you would have thought that those damages were happening right now.
Yeah, well, they're far from that. I mean, what was he talking about? July or August? Early August? They were actually talking about when school's going to start.
Well, look, no, here's the thing. The stipulated damages doesn't start. Now, that was an interesting thing, and I don't 100% know the answer, but Doug Rimmer said June 1st, and it sounded like David North said June 30th. So the stipulated damages doesn't start until either June 1st or June 30th. It's one of the two. I don't know which, because I couldn't tell. I know for a fact Doug Rimmer said June 1st, and then David North said June something, and it sounded like he said 30th. I know how does 1st and 30th
Yeah.
sound similar, but
We'd
the
have
audio
to,
was horrible.
yeah, we'd have to cue it back up and really try to listen to it. Maybe one day the police jury can fix their audio again. I know why it's, terrible again, because they had the little hot mic incident that we pointed out, and so, they're trying to avoid that, but that's ridiculous. All right.
So, yeah, I think the thing is, what a lot of people know is just where are we at?
Right.
When is this thing going to be done? I think that's what a lot of people want to know.
Yeah, it's a simple question, but there's a not so simple answer, unfortunately.
Yeah, there is, Rex, and unfortunately, living up here on the lake, what I can tell you is that
couldn't resist that one.
Yeah, well,
good question, Kaylee Larkin. Good question, and they have their own attorney in Patrick Jackson. Paging Patrick.
Well, word on the street is it was Bossier Day at the Capitol, and Miss Police Juryman woman Parks was down at the Capitol, trying to figure out capital outlay. I don't know.
Maybe, imagine that. That would be kind of coincidental, wouldn't it?
Maybe somebody down there can explain it. I don't know. But so where are we? And I would point out that she missed a lot of the most recent meeting. I noticed it was an interesting thing. I looked up, and all of a sudden she wasn't there at the police jury meeting. She was gone.
Interesting.
So she's not staying for all of them.
I want to put this. This is a good point coming in from Edward Burchett. He's watching over on the YouTube side. Thanks for watching, Edward. You can bet that this cost the citizens having to make this extended drive, $10,000 a day in totality, thus removing that from our local economy. Bottom line, they dropped the ball. Fair point. Or at least they were fumbling the ball around, it seems like, based on the documents, based on the rumors and innuendo.
Yeah, Edward is totally on the mark. I got to tell you, because I've kind of thought about it, Rex. The amount of the extra miles that it takes me to where, and Edward lives down the road here from me. The amount of miles that we're having to drive around, the extra fuel expense, the extra wear and tear on our vehicles, and depreciation and mileage and all that stuff. You can bet your butt that the police jury doesn't care about that.
That's probably never even entered into their thinking.
No. Oh, and I've actually thought about doing the calculation over the course of a year, every day driving kids to school, going to work in town or what have you. Look, we progress. It costs. There's something, David North. And admittedly, I called David North today, and a great guy. I got to tell y'all, he is, I had some questions for him, and we talked about a few things, and he actually, Rex, he committed that he would come on the show and would kind of talk about this. I really thought the guy was articulate. He knew his stuff, and I disagreed with him on a couple of things, but I really kind of liked what the guy had to say, and I really hope he comes on the show. But I don't know. I don't think the calculation of the expense that is happening to everybody who lives on this other side, and a lot of people are like, stop your whining, go, put your wine up.
So you gotta drive around, big deal, But I think maybe part of the bigger point is there's always going to be some people that are going to complain, always, no matter what. If everything was going perfectly, somebody would complain about it. That's a given. But to me, the bigger picture to me is not really getting straight answers from the politicians in charge of this. Literally, we've heard, I'm being a little comical about it, but, it's COVID kind of thing. Or it's fly ash, and you just can't get a real answer out of the politicians sometimes. And so the best way to do it is look at the documentation.
Some politicians believe, just like we showcased in a previous show here not long ago, that no way are they going to criticize another politician.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? That's what it's about. You need to ask tough questions. And if it, offends somebody or it makes them mad because you put them on the spot because they made a poor decision, that's what accountability is about. The end result, if you don't have accountability, is all of the people that are having to drive way the hell out of the way because of this stupid bridge decision and stupid decisions that were made, poor planning. And I'm going to say it that way. It was poor planning and decision making. But wait, was it really poor planning, or was it actually by design? Because there's a lot of educated people out there who think that this is the kind of thing that's been going on for years, but the general public doesn't know any difference, Rex. That this is how, because you know how, Kaylee Larkin, tell me, you're commenting, how are designers of projects like this paid? Are they paid a flat rate of $500 a design, some number, or are they paid a percentage? And what is that percentage? And tell us that real quick, Kaylee.
Yeah, and while she's thinking about that or getting her, I think she said it was her husband or whatever, to figure that out.
And I'm not putting her husband on the spot, but I already know the answer. But,
well, yeah, but I would like to say this. There are politicians who literally ran on not being a part of the Good Old Boys Network. There are sitting police jurors who ran on not being a part of the Good Old Boys Network. The problem I have is, rather than asking the tough questions and presenting the documentation, it's just simply defend the good old boys sitting on the police jury, defend the police jury. I got to remind y'all weren't elected. You were elected to the police jury, but you weren't elected to just sit there and defend it. You were elected to represent your constituents and the rest of the taxpayers as far as police jury matters go.
And if the pay sucks, you know what? You're the ones that wanted to be a police juryman, councilman, whatever. Don't complain because the public wants more accountability from you and wants you to do more on their behalf. Don't bitch about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the ones that ran. And if that's a problem for you, then you need to resign and get out of Dodge. So where are we at on the bridge currently? And I started to go there a while ago, Rex, and we got off on a tangent.
Well, let me. Caitlin does have a response. She says, if it's us, repeat what you said. We apologize. They were taking out the trash and only heard the end. So, Duke, if you want to repeat it, fine. David Womack says, negotiated, I think it can go both ways. So the question was, go ahead, Duke.
Yeah, so the question is on these projects, the designers and look, it's engineers that do this designing, how are they generally paid on these projects? Are they paid a flat rate, or are they paid a percentage of the project? Is it based off of the dollar amount of the project or whatever? And, look, sources tell me that there's this thing out there called the Engineering Brotherhood. It's supposedly a thing.
And that comes from, we can't say who, but that comes from a very credible resource.
And look, the higher the dollar amount of these projects, if they can be pushed to go up higher, the people that design and develop these things, they get and when their money that they make depends upon the dollar figure of the project, they make more money. So if they can add a concrete guardrail versus a metal guardrail that would be less expensive, well, heck yeah. And as you see, like on this project here, for example, the original price and the end result price was significantly different. It was increased by a lot. And why is that? Again, we're speculating, but we're told it is a thing, the Engineering Brotherhood.
Yeah. Okay, and so let me put up Kaylee's response, and then we will start wrapping this up. So Kaylee says there are various ways, depending on the contract, And yes, everyone makes money except the client when it comes to change orders. So there is her official response, and we do appreciate the response and comments.
And the client is obviously all of us watching, because it's your tax dollars, it's mine, and it's me having to spend extra miles, wear and tear, and the police jury could give a crap less about, the depreciation on my vehicle and the extra miles put in. And you've seen how vehicles and inflation and all have gone, and fuel prices. I mean, good grief, it's ridiculous. So where are we at? So Rex had occasion to get out on the lake.
Yeah.
And, the bridge is just like, I can hear it when they were driving pylons. I could hear them smashing them in the ground, drive down there.
So what is the actual progress?
Well, do you know what my observations were? And for all of you watching that care, and I don't care, you can put it out there. I'm just going to tell you what my observations were. So I told you earlier, this is an 11-span bridge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're over a year into this thing now, right?
Right. As a matter of fact, I would say, based on when they've said the end of it's supposed to be, we're 3/4 of the way into it or more, time-wise.
How many spans? This was an 11-span bridge. If you had to guess, how many spans would you think of the bridge were done?
And you said it's an 11-span bridge. I would say they have to be at least at 8 or 9 by now, surely. I mean, because they still have to complete the road and all these other things. 5? 5 is less than half of 11. A little bit less. Not much, but a little bit less than half of 11. David guessed 4.
I don't know how he knows, but I'm just telling you, I counted 5. The approaches, they're not done. The approaches are not poured. And there's a lot of other things that are not done, Rex. They're talking about August, the 1st of August. I got to tell you, I mean, and I hate to break the news to everybody, and look, it affects me as bad as everybody else. I have no faith that, I think we're looking at November.
I tell you what we need to do. I got a grand idea here. We need to turn this into a contest. And so I know we're right here at the end of the show. There's only about 60 people still watching, 52 still watching. We appreciate every one of you. We'll talk about this some more. We'll make a separate video to post. We need to have a contest. And what we want you to do is, in the comments of this show, starting now, and we'll mention it again in other shows, we want you to guess the completion date, month and day and year, that you think will be the first day somebody drives across the completed roadway. Not the construction workers. Average Joe Blow citizen can drive across that completed bridge. And we will give away to the person who is the closest. I don't know, we'll come up with something cool. We've been talking about doing T-shirts and coffee mugs. We'll give away a T-shirt and a coffee mug to whoever can guess the closest to when the average person, the first average citizen, is able to drive across that bridge safely.
Now we're gonna have to set a deadline for people to get their vote or choice in, because we'll
work.
A while.
Yeah, we'll work that out.
But we're going to have to set a deadline for people to get their vote in.
Yeah, and and I'll probably jump the gun a little bit. We need to come up with a little hashtag so we can search this pretty easy. We'll come up with a hashtag, so hold your comments for tonight. Patricia, I see yours, but we'll get you to repost that later. And I'll come up with a hashtag so I can search them pretty easy. So y'all be thinking about a date. And then in an upcoming show, we'll announce and we'll do a post on it and have a hashtag. That way I can search and make sure and go back through everybody's pretty easy. So y'all be thinking about the date. And again, first day that somebody, average Joe Blow citizen, can drive across that bridge and use it. All right.
I think that's a great idea. I guess we'll formulate that and we'll put that together for next show of how everybody can submit their, how we'll do it. I mean,
I think it'll be fun.
A great idea.
Yeah, we have never done a giveaway or anything like that on the show, and we haven't done our T-shirts and coffee mugs yet. But that's not a hard thing to do, so we'll do that. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up, Duke. We still have 50 people watching, and we are at 2 hours and 18 minutes, and we have discussed Tommy Chandler. We have had a great guest on, surprise guest, Brian Hammonds tonight, District 1 City Councilman, and we did a pretty good recap of the bridge with documentation to cover our rumors and innuendo.
Yeah, I mean, you know us, just full of lies and deceit. I mean, I hope we upheld our reputation with all the documentation that we provided, and I'm sure. I mean, hopefully, we'll be able to see ourselves get bashed by elected officials,
Oh yeah.
as being fake news.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that
It's like a
future.
ping pong game. It's back and forth.
Yeah. Hey, did you know I had somebody call me and ask me if we would be willing to participate in a fundraiser?
What?
Did you?
No
Did you?
way.
Yeah, I did. They wondered if we would get in a Dunkin' booth, and they were going to challenge elected officials to come down and try to dunk us while being in the Dunkin' booth.
Well, that actually sounds like a fun idea. I'm
That
I'm
sounds like
game.
a.
I'm in.
I am too. I got to tell you, I've been thinking of one-liners for elected officials all day long so I can rib them when they're throwing their arm out. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm
we need to hold back some information so we have it during the dunking time, and we can just be screaming out insider information as we're getting dunked in the booth. How about that?
Yeah, we can as they're throwing the ball, we can release things about them while we're in the Dunkin' booth,
Exactly.
and maybe they'll throw their arm out and they won't be able to sign any new taxes or things on
Yeah,
people.
see, it's a win-win for everybody. The charity gets some money, we get dunked, we get to reveal information, and no new taxes.
That's that's a great idea.
It is.
Anyway,
All right.
enjoyed it. Thank
Yep.
you all for watching. I hope we, shared some, fake news tonight that you
Yeah.
enjoyed.
Yeah, make
And
sure and tag your fake politicians so they can make sure and hear the fake news, by the way. The rumors and
Absolutely.
innuendo. All right, folks. Hey, quick closing out. Remember, BozierWatch at ProtonMail.com. If you got information you want to share, go to BozierWatch.com or BozierWatch.org. We got some information we're starting to post there, or if you want to donate a little coffee money, there's a donation thing there. If you don't, that's fine. We're still going to keep doing this anyway, as we're making millions and millions of dollars from ourselves just trading back our own business logos and all that. Anyway,
Yeah,
we
and
appreciate
you're late
y'all.
on your check. You're
Yeah,
late on your
exactly.
check to me, just so you know.
Yeah, so we appreciate everybody watching, especially y'all sticking out for 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's awesome. And we'll see you at least next Tuesday night, and maybe this coming up Thursday evening. We'll see. Have a good night, folks.
Good night.